Fala pessoal, beleza com vocês? Fernando Rodrigo aqui na área, novamente trazendo mais uma gameplay de Sherlock Holmes chapterone, capítulo 1. E vamos dar continuidade aqui no caso, galera. Agora a gente tem que ir atrás dessa mulher aqui, vamos ver se a gente encontra ela. Eu tava meio perdido, mas eu descobri que é aqui, galera. Ela foi abusada, né? E ela meio que se escondeu. Deixa eu ver se eu vi no lugar certo. Não. E foi abusada por este cara aqui, ó. A gente tem que descobrir quem é ele através dela. Então a gente vai fazer umas coisas loucas aqui. Já agradecendo aí a presença da galera. Muito obrigado aí, pessoal. Valeu mesmo. Sempre postando. E recentemente eu fiz 3K no canal. Apesar que quando esse vídeo sair vai já estar passado alguns dias, né? Mas eu quero agradecer aí o pessoal que deixou um comentário aí. E você que ajudou a chegar aos 3K. Muito obrigado, galera. É nóis.
Beasts!
Tá acontecendo alguma coisa aqui doida, hein? Algum assassinato, alguma coisa assim. Vamos ver o que tá pegando.
Are you able to help me?
Oh, sir, I'm afraid I don't know about that.
Are you able to help me?
No one listens to us, so why should I listen to you? Oof, bad.
Oh, I am bored. Call me when you find the answer. Murderers!
Help me, please.
You shouldn't have left your mansion. You won't get any answers from me.
Pera, acho que a gente consegue falar com ele. Se eu mudar a minha roupa.
May I ask you something?
I like your friend, but I can't help you.
Everyone's looking at us, Sheriff.
You sure you know what you're doing?
Vai, vamos direto ao ponto.
They're completely livid.
First they come to our land, then they murder our people.
Drop them all into the sea!
Could you help me?
Oh, I'm sorry, but that's beyond my knowledge.
May I ask for your assistance?
Nothing I can tell you, sir, but others might know more.
Oh, I am bored.
Sir, this place is off limits to the public. Please state your business or leave, or I shall request that the police escort you out.
Eu sou investigador particular.
My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm a private investigator. I'm looking for a witness for a case.
A private investigator? Really? Even so, you're not authorized. I can't let you in.
And you are?
I'm Ronald Harlow, here to handle the refugee situation on behalf of City Hall. I'm the acting supervisor here, so I have full authority here to ask you to leave, or I shall order the police to detain you for trying to pass the blockade. Please, step back.
Vamos observá-lo. Pálido, bolsa sob os olhos, trabalha com pouca iluminação. Oxi. Vestido bem demais, finge autoridade. Tem alguma coisa na boca aqui. Bigode modesto, tenta parecer mais velho. Mãos suadas, estressado. Sapatos limpos, sedentário. Ronald Harlow é um jovem escrituário deprimido, exausto pelo trabalho cotidiano. A prefeitura lhe atribuiu a supervisão do campo de refugiados, mas ele está cansado e indiferente demais para resolver os problemas. Ele tem um bigode ralo que acredita lhe fazer parecer mais velho. Sua pele pálida e bolsas sob os olhos sugerem que está cansado de seu escritório escuro e apertado. do qual raramente sai, mas a julgar pelos seus sapatos limpos e poucos gastos, ele não gosta de atividades ao ar livre de todo modo. Ele não está muito satisfeito com sua responsabilidade, mas sempre faz as coisas como manda o figurino e cumpre todas as tarefas que lhe são atribuídas. No entanto, ele não tem experiência para lidar com problemas fora de sua escrivania. Ele tenta parecer mais velho, muito formal, apenas trabalha intelectual. Vamos fazer isso aqui.
What about the murder that this crowd keeps shouting about?
It's mere assumption. I assure you that the situation is under the police's control.
I know you want to deal with this in the right way. You are obviously a professional and a responsible person, but you clearly have never handled a situation like this before.
I am handling it, Mr. Holmes. Don't question my capability here.
And tell me how you do it. You can't even calm this gathered crowd, and as for the police, they're not quite managing it either, are they? You consider yourself a problem solver, but until today, you've been solving problems sitting at your desk in a dark corner of a city hall room. Here, you need a more practical approach.
What are you driving at, Mr. Holmes?
Eu posso ajudá-lo.
I can help you to handle the situation if you're truly interested in solving things quickly and quietly.
And how exactly would you manage that?
Simply tell the police that I'm with City Hall and I'm permitted to investigate the scene. I'll work out the rest, but in return I need your help finding my witness. She's a young refugee. She's with child or was with child recently.
Look, there is indeed a dead body inside the camp. So even if the girl you are looking for is there, all the refugees are now being detained and interrogated by the police. They won't allow you to speak with her, and I can't do anything about that until the situation settles down.
So it's in our mutual interest to settle it.
Oh. I suppose that things are bad enough that I ought not shy away from help. All right, Mr. Holmes. I'll tell the police to allow you to come inside. Just tell me when you're ready.
Como os refugiados chegaram aqui?
Mr. Harlow, how did the refugees end up here exactly?
Oh. So you're not from around here yourself?
I've been away for some time, but I read the papers.
Yes. This whole story has been in the papers for almost a year now. They were smuggled to Cordona on a ship from Africa.
Smuggled? Then why didn't you deport them?
The smugglers managed to sneak them to shore and hide them inside an abandoned warehouse. When the police raided the warehouse and found the refugees there, the ship was already gone. We aren't even certain as to which ship it was. We have busy shipping routes with other colonies these days, you see.
So you decided to lock them up under a bridge?
There was no other option. We're still trying to work out what to do with them. I only hope we'll find a humane solution and not put them on a raft and float them out to sea.
Mr. Harlow, what exactly do you do here? What are your responsibilities?
What I do and what I am responsible for are two different realities, Mr. Holmes. On paper, I am in charge of the camp territory, security, provision, and the refugees in general. What I actually do most of the time is knock on every city hall door trying to obtain some funding, or at least rations for the camp.
Are the police here on City Hall's behalf too?
They are, minus those who came here after the body was found. The governor won't let the refugees disperse into the island, so there's a significant police presence guarding the camp. Naturally, they answer directly to the police. I have some influence here, but I'm not their direct authority.
I'm ready to take a look at the scene.
All right. Go inside the camp and find Inspector Tewkesbury. He's the officer investigating the scene. Tell him I sent you. Say you're an independent expert from City Hall. He'll fill in the details for you.
I'll find my way with words. Thank you, Mr. Harlow.
Beleza.
So they keep these refugees under a bridge like proverbial trolls. No wonder the people outside are so disturbed.
Verdade.
Who the hell are you? How did you get in here?
Mr. Ronald Harlow let me in, sir. I'm Sherlock Holmes, a surveyor of refugee affairs with City Hall. You're Inspector Tewkesbury, I presume?
Tewkesbury.
What does that even mean?
In short, I've been sent to conduct an extensive report on the incident for the Colonial Office and to assess all the damage inflicted on state property.
Got it. Another paperworm sent to count money and get food for archive mold. Go on, look around, but don't make yourself too at home. As if I didn't have enough problems before you appeared.
Could you first tell me what happened here?
What happened? People from the bridge above the camp heard a woman screaming and saw a mass of refugees attacking a man. Clearly not a refugee. When the camp guards came by, the man was floating in the sewage canal with a knife in his chest. Bam. A murder. Big news for Cordona.
I'm sure. Thank you, Inspector.
Quem é o defunto?
Did you learn anything about the dead man?
The fellow looks like a thug. I've had dozens like him fished out of the sea over the past 20 years. Ever since these refugees arrived, there have been people on Cordona with bad blood in them. My best bet is that this thug had something against them too.
And no clue as to his identity.
He had some items on his body, but nothing to indicate who he was or where he was from.
I think I should catalogue his possessions in my records.
Go on. They're on the table near the body.
Alguma outra vítima?
And none of the refugees were harmed?
One fellow was cut. He's lying over there near their kitchen. He's in a bad way.
You mentioned a woman screaming who attracted the bypassers on the bridge. Was she harmed?
No, she's all right, but perhaps the whole debacle started because of her. She started wailing and the refugees stood up for the girl.
And where is this young woman now?
Back there in the shacks, same as the rest of the refugees. She's been questioned by my men, but she's just some refugee girl. Can't understand much English.
Do you have any suspects yet?
You're joking, right? I've got a whole camp full of suspects. And if you ask me, this bloke had it coming. Better bury him and forget about the whole thing. And now there's a crowd gathered at the camp, and my superiors say we must thoroughly interrogate the refugees. At least those who can understand any English.
Do you believe that your superiors wish to get rid of the refugees?
I think that both our superiors would rather keep the story quiet. Since that's an unaffordable luxury now, they're looking how to protect their public image. That's why I have to waste my time waiting for my people to turn every stone and befriend every refugee.
All right.
I'm busy. Don't you have papers to fill? City Hall lubberheads.
Here we go again. Number of hours on Cordona before stumbling upon another dead body. 0.
Shit. Só faltou falar, oh shit, here we go again. Número 3, 4, 8. Bem, vamos. Um de cada.
Clearly a left handprint here. A
Sangrando,
blood trail leading to or from the canal.
sangramento leve continuou se movendo.
A furrow in the ground.
Ok.
Someone bled profusely here. A fresh crack, as if the crate was hit recently.
Beleza. Aparentemente são duas pessoas, uma sangrando levemente e outra mais profundamente.
These events have fractured into so many pieces. But I know you can collect them all, Sherlock.
Police boots. Always happy to trample evidence. A heavy boot with a worn-out sole. A man's footprint.
3 pegadas diferentes ali, mano.
Oh, carnelian agate beads, a traditional African adornment.
Que é isso?
Oh, carnelian agate beads, a traditional
Contas de
African adornment.
ágatas.
The blood sprayed off the blade after the strike. It might have been used as an improvised weapon. No hint of blood or impact.
Caraca, que aconteceu aqui, velho? Agora eu tô meio boiado.
Someone was dragged against their will.
Alguém que mora nessa casa, do jeito, né?
Could you help me?
Nothing I can tell you, sir, but others might know more.
Caraca.
He is in shock, feverish and dehydrated. The cut is deep, potentially serious if not treated immediately.
Sherry, you know first aid. Surely you have a duty to help this man. You can't leave him to certain death.
Malpal, soaked with salt water. £1,000. A fair sum, especially considering British currency isn't very common in Cordona. A simple leather sheath. Perfect for a dirk. Can I ask you a question?
A solid question, sir, but I don't have the answer.
Can you satisfy my curiosity?
A solid question, sir, but I don't have the answer.
Everyone's looking at us, Sherry. You sure you know what you're doing?
Esse aqui é o cadáver, é? É.
Coal dust under the nails. I don't see much coal around here. A steel dirk. Sharp. A common accessory among sailors and soldiers.
Será que é o cara que tem um pé? Acho que esse cara aqui tem um pé maior que o outro, hein?
Heavy boots, with one sole far more worn than the other. This man was limping John.
É o cara que roubou a galeria.
I'd say the blade penetrated upward, however the wound is too messy to be certain.
Como é que é?
I'd say the blade penetrated upward, however the wound is too messy to be certain.
A tatuagem no pescoço.
An interesting tattoo. Does it mean something? A violent death. This man, limping. Coal dust. I think we're onto something here, John. You know what? I'd like to understand.
What?
How did our dead man end up inside the camp in the first place?
If they find out about the passage, everything. If they find out about the passage.
Descubra a função da passagem. Salário baixo. Oficial menor, mais cheio de pomba. Dinheiro. Histeria. Figura pública. Dinheiro.
Sherry, just look at this. Living quarters in a sewer. What kind of a genius bureaucrat?
Figura pública? Não. Não. Dinheiro. Liberdade. Liberdade. Salário baixo? Não. Isolamento do acampamento. Beleza. Os oficiais temem que a situação com o cadáver coloque o acampamento em rigoroso isolamento, de modo que perderão o fluxo de dinheiro que estavam ganhando com seus esquemas.
Nobody will know anything if you keep your bloody mouth shut.
The coppers smell fishy here, Sherry. Perhaps we should sniff around in the camp a little more thoroughly.
Erva daninha.
Nausea and stomach pain is not what he needs now.
Aloe vera.
I can use this to stop the infection from spreading.
Ah, legal. Tá aí agora. Será que a gente vai pegar água? Água fervente, limpo.
I'll use it to create a solution.
Beleza.
Just wash. Better than nothing to bandage the wound. I've plated all the ingredients, now to prepare the first aid solution.
Pera aí que eu vi um negócio aqui, mano. Onde que era? Não tem mais nada, eu acho. Certo, vamos preparar. O homem está ferido. A gente vai precisar fazer aqui o remédio. Será que eu acerto dessa vez? Não. Ah,
Thank you.
This should make you feel better, my friend. Now remain lying down and drink as much water as you can.
Well done, Sherry. At least he won't die from the infection.
beleza. Eu acho que a gente deve descobrir alguma coisa assim.
No, it's too short for these walls or cliffs. Sealed shut. I doubt our man could get through these grates.
Como o intruso invadiu esse lugar, velho? Tem um barco aqui, mas não tem. Barco? Improvável.
It's unlikely anyone could get in or out of the camp by water without alerting the police guards.
Também acho. Vai. Um monte de cigarro aqui, mano. Ah, o cigarro que o cara fuma.
A single Malpal butt. Roadman cigarettes. A brand highly regarded by law enforcement officers. So there wasn't any sophisticated infiltration plan. The good old police just let the man into the camp. Now we have everything we need to get the full picture of what happened at the camp.
Precisamos saber.
I hope I'm not making a grave mistake in trusting you, Mr. Holmes.
Who isn't allowed to visit the crime scene these days?
Apareceu um negócio aqui. Caraca. Não, ela foi arrastada. Aqui, essa faca provavelmente foi a que machucou o cara lá. E ele deve ter tentado se defender com essa madeira. Aí, vamos ver se tem outra opção. Ele tava com ela, né? Porque ela saiu gritando e as pessoas vieram ajudar ela. Ah, aqui é o colar dela que deve ter quebrado. Não, mas aqui parece que ele tá defendendo ela, né? Acho que essa opção aqui é a melhor. Aqui tem outra. Aqui, ó, as pessoas que foram ajudar. Tem mais uma aqui, mano. Não pode ser aquela lá porque foi a faca que entrou, essa faca que entrou no peito do cara, né? A madeira tá quebrada, caixote. Não, é outra, essa daqui. Não, porque aí ele não apoiou a mão ali. Eu acho que tá certo, hein? Vamos ver. Oh, de
So, we
primeira.
have a thug who came to take a refugee woman with him. She resisted, but he dragged her by force. One of the refugees stood in his way, armed with a stick, yet he could do nothing against a cutthroat with a blade. The man didn't anticipate that the other refugees would intervene and stand against him. In the confusion, the woman managed to break free. The thug took fright and fled. He was stopped by the falling crates. He stumbled and fell, piercing his chest with his own blade. However, the wound didn't cause instant death. He managed to stand, but still bleeding, he lost his balance on the bridge and fell. Before all of this, the man had freely entered the camp through the main entrance. The police admitted him after they had a short smoke together.
You live by the sword, you die by the sword. In our man's case, it's the same sword.
Precisamos saber como o intruso invadiu. O bandido queria tirar uma refugiada do campo. Os refugiados protegeram a mulher e o bandido tentou escapar, mas acidentalmente caiu sobre a sua própria lâmina. Ah, o cara apareceu aqui.
Mr. Harlow, your refugees didn't murder anyone.
What? Pray tell me what you've learned.
All right, listen carefully. This might solve one problem for you, but will create a few more.
Oh, well, that's a great start.
The man came to the camp intending to kidnap one of your refugees, a woman. What he didn't expect was that the refugees would stand up to protect the woman. A brawl had broken out. In the chaos of it, the man stumbled over those crates and fell on his own blade.
How do you know he fell on his own blade?
The wound in his chest was inflicted from an unusual angle. It was not an offensive stab, shall we say. The refugees didn't touch him, and judging by the blood at the scene, the intruder managed to raise himself but was unable to walk very far. He ultimately fell into the canal.
But how did he sneak into the camp? Why didn't the police see him?
And this is where your new problems emerge, Mr. Harlow.
What do you mean?
You're not a dull-witted man. You know what I mean. There is no feasible way to get into the camp without the police guards knowing of it.
The pile of mess I had to sort out has just become bigger, but somehow that doesn't surprise me. Anyway, I thank you for your help, Mr. Holmes. I'll take it from here. Meanwhile, I'll make sure the police aren't detaining the refugees any longer. You can go back in and look for your witness.
You think one small clock can make any difference in this place?
Who knows, John? Just one ill-fitting cog could make the whole machine crumble.
Beleza. E essa mulher, será que ela consegue me ajudar?
Are you able to help me?
Sorry. We don't see much here.
May I ask you something?
Sorry, we don't see much here.
This isn't working. You might need a different tack.
You're the one who tended to our man's wounds. I thank you greatly. The police didn't allow us to help him.
The police will leave you alone now. I've proven to them that the man who came into the camp died due to his own foolishness.
Thank you for standing up for us. But nobody would help us without a reason. You're here because you want something.
Yes, I do. I need to speak with the girl drawn here.
The dead man came for her too. He wanted to take the girl away, but we won't allow her to be hurt again. What do you want from Nayla?
Nayla.
She was hurt some time ago. I'm here to find the people who did this and bring them to justice. And to find them, I need Nayla's help. Will you let me speak to her?
Justice. There's no justice on this land. But you helped us, so maybe your words are not empty. You can speak to Nayla, if she wants it. But I will be watching you.
Alright, my friend.
Hello, Naylor? My name is Sherlock. I know someone hurt you. I am here to help. I'm trying to find the people involved and bring them to justice. Please. There is a photograph, and I'm sorry, it is terrible, but I simply must ask. Where did this happen? What can you tell me about these people? Christ, Sherlock. Naylor, I'm sorry. I'm not very good at this.
You come here for me, but you are rude and cruel and condescending. A cross. The man had this cross. Now go away. Leave us be. I do not need another white man's help.
Another white man's help. Okay.
Glad that wasn't me.
Not my best work, John, by a long shot. Naylor doesn't want us meddling. I'm starting to wonder what this all achieves.
But she helped you anyway. Now we know that maniac's face and the cross he wore, we can still catch him.
Beleza, vamos ver aqui. O homem... Esse homem não veio aqui por acaso. Ele é um elo muito importante para este caso. E essa tatuagem pode me ajudar a compreendê-lo. Precisamos descobrir como o intruso invadiu o acampamento. Quais são as opções? De barco? Escalar? Pelos esgotos? Entrada principal? Beleza. Ok. Prestei primeiro socorros ao refugiado. Ele deve sobreviver. Ao examinar o corpo, descobri que o homem foi perfurado por um punhal da marinha. A lâmina penetrou na vertical, mas o ferimento no peito está... Tá ok. Uma tatuagem distinta em seu pescoço, blá blá blá. Entre os seus pertences do falecido estão 1000 libras esterlinas, uma cigarreira que ainda contém vários cigarros mal pau, uma bainha com uma lâmina curta, como uma adaga ou um punhal. O corpo do intruso jazia no canal esgoto e a polícia... Ok. Nada de novo? Vamos ver aqui. O ladrão visitou a galeria de Virgil. O homem morto no campo de refugiados era a mesma pessoa que invadiu a galeria de Virgil. Beleza, verdade. O ladrão queria sequestrar a garota. O ladrão veio ao acampamento para sequestrar uma mulher. Ele teve a oportunidade, mas não conseguiu. Opa. Um capanga, não apenas um ladrão. Não é apenas um ladrão, mas um sequestrador. Um capanga que é pau para toda a obra. Ok. O vereador é um oficial de alta patente. Distintivos como esses são recompensas de oficiais da alta patente. O violador deve se enquadrar nessas descrições. Livro de casos. John redesenhou a fotografia. Ah, tá. Insígnias como essa costumam ser concedidas a funcionários britânicos de alto escalão. Poucos desses visitam Corona, muito menos trabalham na ilha. A gente precisa saber. Tem mais coisa aqui, mano.
Can I ask you a question?
Sorry, we don't see much here.
At least some of your kind have a hat. Thank you again.
Ai, caraca. Que chatice, velho.
Murder! Beasts!
Who isn't allowed to visit the crime scene these days?
I owe you a lot, Mr. Holmes.
You still here? I've already told you all I've learned.
The intruder has a most peculiar tattoo on his neck, 2 lines and a point. Do you know anything about it?
You really want to know, kid? Why? You want to play a policeman or something?
I'm sure you have it in your records, so it won't hurt if I have it in mine.
In my records, it's just a tattoo, as it should be in yours. Ah, to hell with you. Suit yourself as to what you're going to do with it. Off the record, though, such tattoos are often connected to a man named Mr. Niccolo Bernadotti.
Bernadotti, you say?
Bernadotti.
A respectable businessman in Scalario. His company imports goods and wines, and smuggles everything that can be smuggled between the colonies and the mainland. His people can be identified by an obscure tattoo, just like the one over there our friend has. But these are all merely rumors, you see. If Mr. Bernadotti was a criminal, he'd be in prison now. Or hanged, right? Your problem, not mine. Don't bother someone else with this, son. I've already told you all I've learned. I've already told you all I've learned.
The guards at the sewers were speaking about taking refugees out of the camp. Do you know anything about this, Inspector?
Less than you do, obviously.
And this doesn't bother you as an officer of the law?
I can neither punish them nor put them on the right track, if that's what you're asking. Maybe your friends at City Hall could do something about it, but I seriously doubt that. To be honest, I'm sick and tired of being frowned on for my uniform. If those fine gentlemen you've eavesdropped on are in some shady business, that's on their heads. You're disturbing a hornet's nest here, son.
Todas as evidências foram coletadas. Beleza. Tá, vamos então fazer o quê? Vamos na...
Sherry, wait. You might want to settle all the matters in the camp before leaving. You probably won't be coming back here anytime soon. There are still matters we can settle before leaving the camp.
É porque você não me deixa eu sair fora, mano. Esse do refugiado já foi.
disturbing a hornet's nest here, son.
I owe you a lot, Mr. Holmes.
You're disturbing a hornet's nest here, son.
I owe you a lot, Mr. Holmes.
At least some of your kind have a hat. Thank you again.
Vocês, todas as provas foi coletada aqui, mano. O que eu vim fazer aqui, mano? Vou embora.
Who isn't allowed to visit the crime scene these days?
May I ask for your assistance?
Nothing I can tell you, sir, but others might know more.
Bem, vamos
It's a
embora.
shame we didn't learn more about that scheme the guards were talking about. The corruption in Cordona flourishes once more.
We simply don't have time for this, John. We need to proceed with the case.
Ah, era o desafio do cara. Ah, foi mal, mano. Pera aí. Vamos ver se a gente consegue fazer. Espero que volte lá dentro. Beleza, conseguimos voltar. O que a gente pode fazer?
Such a mess. Let's figure it out.
Could you help me?
A solid question, sir, but I don't have the answer.
Excuse me, just one question.
A solid question, sir, but I don't have the answer.
Everyone's looking at us, Sherry. You sure you know what you're doing?
Como é que eu vou saber disso aqui, mano?
May I ask for your assistance?
Unfortunately, my casebook is empty on this.
Help me, please.
Unfortunately, my casebook is empty on this.
Time to check your who, what and what, Sherry. Who are you asking, about what and dressed as what?
May I ask you something?
Unfortunately, my casebook is empty on this.
Can you satisfy my curiosity?
Oh, I don't know about that. Ask one of the others.
This isn't working. You might need a different tack.
Is this familiar to you?
They often take us from the camps to work. Most don't mind, though. It's the only way we get a glimpse of freedom.
De acordo com os refugiados, algumas pessoas duvidosas visitam regularmente o acampamento e levam refugiados consigo para realizar vários trabalhos. O trabalho costuma ser árduo, mas os refugiados recebem dinheiro e comida. A garota sofreu abuso depois de supostamente ter sido levada para esse tipo de trabalho. Desde então, os refugiados decidiram não permitir que as suas mulheres fossem levadas.
So there's a smuggling ring in the camp. This wasn't the first time that someone freely entered the camp to take a refugee out.
At least it was certainly his last time. My gut tells me that we'll learn more about this ring when we find out where the thug came from.
Encontrei 2 policiais no acampamento discutindo um longo esquema. De fato, né.
Excuse me, just one question.
Unfortunately, my casebook is empty on this.
Help me, please.
Oh, I don't know about that. Ask one of the others.
Oh, I am bored. Call me when you find the answer.
At least some of your kind have a heart. Thank you again.
Do you know anything about this?
Sorry, we don't see much here.
May I ask you something?
Sorry. We don't see much here.
This isn't working. You might need a different tack.
You're disturbing a hornet's nest here, son.
I owe you a lot, Mr. Holmes.
E acho que agora a gente consegue sair, né? Mapa, salvar.
Do you know anything about this?
Nothing I can tell you, sir, but others might know more.
Is this... I just need to collect my thoughts, Sharon.
Beleza. Então o que a gente precisa fazer é procurar um homem com... Nicolo Bernadotti. Tem que falar. Ver sobre esse cara aqui, mano. A gente consegue ir na prefeitura? Não. Cordona Chronicle. Vamos ver. Esse jogo é assim, galera. Tem que ter paciência. Período recente. Pessoas oficiais, celebridade, pessoas comuns. Primeira página. O homem encontrado no campo de refugiados tem uma tatuagem no pescoço, duas anelas. Esse homem não veio aqui pra casa. O inspetor do campo de refugiados disse que o homem pode ser como pode ser esse Bernadotte, tem tatuagem como Bernadotte. É um empresário de escândio. Pera aí, então ele é celebridade? Não. É um empresário, então é uma pessoa comum. Que, segundo rumores, dirige uma rede de contrabando coberta pela importação de mercadorias. O homem encontrado morto no refugiado tem uma tatuagem distinta. O inspetor Tambury do campo de refugiados diz que homens ligados a um certo Nicolo Bernadotte têm tatuagem como essa. Bernadotte é um empresário de escândio que, segundo rumores, dirige uma rede de contrabando. Aqui tá certo. Não é aqui, vamos ver em outro lugar, galera. Vamos ver na polícia. Já que ele é suspeito, né? Vai que faz algum sentido. Crimes de propriedade, contrabando, assuntos suspeitos, instrumentos de crime, documentação apreendidos, distrito. Não, caraca, mano, achei que ia... Assuntos suspeitos, vítimas, crimes violentos, contrabando. Suspeito, instrumentos de crime, documentação. Pera aí, deixa eu ver se eu... Ah, tá. Nicola Bernadotte, nascido em 1834, é empresário e patrono conhecido em Codorna. O fundador e proprietário de Bernadotte Company Ltda. Em 1873, sede sudoeste de Escádio, Bazar Red, próximo ao cruzamento com a Roman Red. Bernadette foi levado para o interrogatório em 13 de fevereiro de 76, após denúncias de uma nossas fontes anônimas. A fonte forneceu informações que apontavam para a conexão de Bernadotte com o contrabando de bebidas e itens de arte antiga entre as colônias britânicas, Codorna e o restaurante do Reino Unido. As pessoas que supostamente trabalhavam para a empresa de Sr. Bernadotte estavam envolvidas com uma série de atividades ilegais, incluindo roubo, violência, extorsão e chantagem. Bernadotte foi chamado para interrogatório como testemunha, uma vez que não há evidências tangíveis disponíveis para servir de acusação durante o interrogatório conduzido por mim e pelo Dr. Booth. O Sr. Bernadotte alegou não ter conhecimento de qualquer operação nem de fatos fornecidos por nossas fontes. Nenhuma informação, pois ele pode ser obtida sobre suas atividades antes de sua mudança para a Grã-Bretanha. Documentos ou não, como o Sr. Bernadotte afirma, até 1973 viveu na Cilícia, Itália, onde tinha um negócio de vendas até que se mudou para Londres e começou a importar mercadoria. Conclusão: não é possível incriminar o Sr. Bernadotte com nada relacionado ao caso.
An impressive slice of life. The police had a lot on him and at the same time, nothing at all. Amateurs.
Beleza, então vamos nos endereço lá que foi fornecido pra gente. A gente deve conseguir alguma coisa. Fica na sede. Fica na sede de Escânladio, Bazar. A Bazar, achei. Tá aqui, Bazar com a Romana. Aqui. Fazer uma viagem rápida. Beleza, chegamos. Ele é patrono, conhecido, fundador da propriedade Bernadotte Company. Ah, que foi fácil, hein?
It seems they're not expecting guests.
I won't wait for an invitation, John.
Que a gente dá a volta por trás?
Could you help me?
Sorry, we don't see much here.
Ixi, tem cara
These
armado
workers
aqui,
don't
mano.
look like your average Cordona folk.
They're refugees from the camp.
That's our way in, Sherry.
Pô, tem cara armado aqui, mano, olha.
Hey, yo. This is private property. You lost something.
Assuntos da prefeitura, quero ver o senhor Bernadotte, sou um investigador. Assuntos da prefeitura.
Good day, sir. I've been sent by City Hall to see Mr. Bernadotte about...
Mr. Bernadotte isn't seeing anyone. You have 3 seconds to walk away or you'll never walk again. Capito?
It's in Mr. Bernadotte's best interest to...
1.
I did try to resolve this peacefully.
Caraca, e os outros não viu ele fazendo isso? Ih! Tem treta. Bum bam bum bam bum 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 bum. Ah não! Oh, caramba, comecei mal já.
I couldn't miss the party. I'll put you 6 feet under.
Don't bother moving. You've lost.
Ah, quem que tá atirando em mim, velho? Pera. Beleza.
Don't cry, you'll...
The snuff's ready.
I'll put you 6 feet under.
Give him the pepper snuff.
Corre.
The snuff's ready.
Tá fácil.
Too simple.
Give him the pepper snuff.
Tá maluco? Bum 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 bum.
Time to knock this guy out.
Ó, o cara fica lá em cima. Opa. Toma.
Too simple.
Give him the snuff's ready.
Tem mais ainda. Esse do chapeuzinho aqui é o mais fácil. Opa. Toma na
Give him
jabiroca.
the pepper snuff. The snuff's ready.
Cheio de rato aqui, mano, também. Bum 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 bum. Nova atualização do diário de John.
Sherry, look. This seems familiar.
Masks, traditional for the Chokwe people of Central Africa. A Dogon statue from West Africa. A Dogon statue from West Africa.
Dogon. O que é Dogon?
A century old at least. VH Grindley Flow Blue tableware. This is what lies behind the facade of Bernadotte Company Limited.
Contrabando?
No, sir. Don't hurt me.
It's all right. I won't harm you.
Like you didn't harm the folks on the
An
way
amazing
here.
piece of culture. I imagine many collectors and museums would be interested in having it. Let's see what's hidden there.
É o quadro, né?
Vogel's stolen painting. Isn't it curious how it developed into a much more interesting case?
Don't come any closer. One step and I'll shred you to pieces.
Ninguém vai encontrar seu corpo. Vai em frente, vou acabar com você.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Righto. Yes. Yep. Well, excuse me, sir. I think I hear I've got to... It's better I leave.
Whoa.
Sherlock.
Wow, that was as if somebody put my words in your mouth.
Sherlock ficou nervoso. Codorna Chronicle. Primeira página, relacionado ao Zeppelin. Trancada. 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 Esse aqui é da onde a gente veio. Alright.
The Bernadotte Company Limited trade network reaches the most distant colonies of the great empire.
It must be very convenient for a man like Bernadotte.
I suppose it's Mr. Bernadotte with our fine governor. (1875). It's taken a few years back. John, how many people in Cordona have a photograph with the governor, do you think?
You definitely don't have one.
Please don't shoot me. I have a family.
Muito papel, cartas de porte, documentos legais, emblema da prefeitura, papel caro, convite para o baile.
Spare me.
So, you've cut through all the guards just to talk to me. And come here, and we shall talk.
Uma coleção e tanto. Tem livros ali. Homem de negócio italiano, pronto para se defender, hostil. Tem uma arma, o cara, filho. Fotografia de uma garotinha, parente.
Whenever you're ready, I'd hate to intrude.
Vamos observá-lo. Bigode grosso. Deve ter alguma tatuagem. Ah, tá diferente dos outros. Não foge do trabalho sujo. Teve pelagrar. Que é isso, pelagrar? Pele danificada. Sangue frio, pistola de cobre. Anelzão de ouro. Aliança, casado. Chefe de crime impacável, pensador calculista. Mano, chefe de crime, né, velho?
Bad news. The thug you sent to the refugee camp only succeeded in stabbing himself. His next and final journey will be to the morgue.
Hold your horses. Who the hell are you?
Sherlock Holmes. And you are Niccolo Bernadotti, a smuggler, kidnapper, and notorious cutthroat, among other things.
Few men would dare waltz into my office and address me like that. You are either overconfident or unintelligent. This is private property. Give me one reason why I should not shoot you on the spot. I am sure my friends at the station would call it self-defense.
Você conhece Boniface Mercúrio?
Mr. Bernadotti, do you know the name Boniface Mercurio?
I do not.
Mercurio was a local artist. Recently, a man broke into his apartment, ransacked the place, and killed him. The thief was looking for something.
You are testing my patience, boy.
In a moment, the connection will reveal itself. I was hired, privately, to investigate the recent theft of a painting from an art gallery. My investigation led me to a man from your organization, and thus, to you, Mr. Bernadotti.
That is quite a stretch. Why would I need to steal a painting when I could buy anyone I wanted?
Interestingly enough, I spotted the stolen painting in your storeroom.
I buy and sell a lot of things, Mr. Holmes. Unfortunately, if this is true, it is not the first time I have been sold stolen merchandise. I presume you were hired by the owner of the gallery. Tell them to contact me, and we'll sort out the situation. So, this painting is why you broke into my office.
As I said, your man was found dead in the refugee camp. He was there to kidnap a woman, but the other refugees intervened to try and save her. The ensuing scuffle resulted in the man's accidental suicide. He sported the same tattoo as your men in this building. In fact, it also bears a resemblance to the one on your neck. Care to explain what business your man had with this woman?
You have no idea what you are talking about. I can assure you this was no kidnapping. The refugees in the camp are on edge. What happened there is a tragic accident, one I am not responsible for.
For what reason was your man there if not to abduct her?
Why would I answer? You are yet to justify your presence in the slightest. So many words, so little action. When you barged into my office, Mr. Holmes, I got the impression you wanted to talk business. Now I see you had come just to talk. Tell me exactly what you want, or get out.
It was necessary groundwork for what comes next. I have enough evidence to conclude that the gallery thief, the artist's killer, and the dead man in the camp are all the same person.
Your time is almost up, Mr. Holmes.
Before you draw your gun, there is one final detail I am yet to mention. The young woman your man was tasked to collect from the refugee camp had been defiled at a perverse masquerade party. That violation was captured in a photograph by Boniface Mercurio and used as a reference for his painting. The photo shows the attacker's face.
Finally. That's why you're here, Mr. Holmes. You have the photograph.
It is what your man was after when he broke into Mercurio's apartment, and it is what you're after too, isn't it, Mr. Bernadotti?
You have the photograph with you. How much do you want for it?
I am not naive enough to carry it with me, and I am compelled to ask why you want it. Who is the man visible in the photograph? An associate?
Not yet, Mr. Holmes. Though with this picture, that may change. The man in the photo is a British envoy on Cordona.
What exactly do you want from him?
My business dealings are often arduous in their bureaucracy. A man in his position, willing to look the other way, could ease my work significantly. In return, I will make sure no one looks his way either. A favor for a favor.
Also known as blackmail, the modus operandi of any true professional.
It was not originally my idea. Mercurio set things in motion, extorting the envoy for the most trivial of ends. Money. In response, the envoy hired my man to retrieve the painting and the photograph, eliminating Mercurio's leverage. I only learned the whole story after the artist was killed in his home.
And rather than extricate yourself, instead you took over Mercurio's venture.
It fell into my lap. As a businessman, I simply seized the opportunity. Now, how much do you want for the image?
Why should I give you the photograph?
Just name your price.
What if my price were not money? You claim to have connections, Mr. Bernadotte. Perhaps you could improve conditions for the refugees. Give them a chance for a better life.
Ha! I do have connections, Mr. Holmes, but help the whole camp? You are asking too much. I could, however, make arrangements for one person. The woman who was violated will have her own home, outside the camp, solely for her and her child. She will no longer be a refugee, but a princess. That I can guarantee.
Is that really possible?
It will be neither fast nor easy, but I can do it. She deserves it, don't you agree? And as for her abuser, he will serve me, as much as he deserves.
So in your plan, everybody will be given their due. Especially you, Mr. Bernadotte.
Seems like a fair deal, no? I doubt anyone could offer you better. Simply give me the photograph, and the world becomes a better place. I give you my word.
What makes you think you can decide what's best for these people?
Such is the arrogance of British imperialism. I take your point.
Caraca, muita informação. Nicola Bernadette é o líder de cruel, blá blá blá, criado numa família pobre, teve de trabalhador. Bernadette e seus homens têm tatuagens diferentes no mesmo estilo. As tatuagens provavelmente são um código que representa diferenças de categoria dentro das organizações criminosas, fachada secreta. A pintura que retrata uma mulher nua. Neila foi violada e quase sequestrada. Primeiro, preciso garantir a segurança dela e de seu bebê. Bernadette queria provas para chantagear o enviado britânico. Justiça sem compaixão. Bernadotte é o enviado britânico. Estão tentando tirar vantagem desse terrível situação. Nenhum dos dois é confiável. A verdade resolverá tudo. Entregue a foto a Virgil e ele a tornará público. Bernadotte é um homem de negócio escuso, mas parece conveniente ao prometer uma vida feliz para nele e o filho. Isso é o que importa agora. Entregue a evidência para chantagear. Isso é o que importa agora. Entregue a evidências de chantagem a ele. E agora? O Sr. Bernard afirma que é enviado britânico. E agora o que eu faço? Senhor Bernadotte sabe como usar a situação em proveito próprio. Quando descobriu que o enviado britânico violou uma garota, viu a oportunidade de aumentar sua influência. Ele quer a foto em troca de uma vida feia. Eu vou ter compaixão com a menina aqui e selecionar esse aqui. Ui. Trocar. Acho que não foi uma boa ideia não. Eu acho que eu vou de primeiro aqui. Justiça sem compaixão. Bernardo. Tá no mesmo. Então vou selecionar esse aqui mesmo.
If I give you the photograph, how do I know you will not come after me?
Mr. Holmes, you are not a threat. The local authorities owe me favors. For all your confidence, you cannot actually harm me. Besides, I like you and your approach to business. We are not dissimilar. Pragmatists to a fault.
Indeed, I cannot ignore the just outcomes in what you have proposed. All right, take the photograph.
You are a hard man to read, Mr. Holmes. I couldn't tell if you actually had it. Fear not. This decision will bear its fruits soon enough. One more thing, Mr. Holmes. Now that I have the photo, you may as well take Mr. Mercurio's painting back to the gallery. Please, send my apologies.
Ok. Pintura roubada na galeria.
Mr. Holmes, you've returned. Have you uncovered anything new about the theft?
I've brought news, but not all of it will please you.
Fill me in, Mr. Holmes. I won't shoot the messenger.
O ladrão está morto.
I located the thief, but found him rather cold. He was tight-lipped about the painting too.
Ah, he's dead. How very droll, Mr. Holmes. One presumes you were not responsible.
It was an accident at the refugee camp. He impaled himself on his own knife.
Life is nothing if not cruel and capricious.
I tracked down Boniface Mercurio.
I presume he wasn't delighted about the situation.
He was not having a good day on account of his murder. Killed in his own flat by the same person that stole his painting.
Oh, sweet Mercurio. Perishing in the pursuit of his art. How apt. I will miss his exceptional sense of humor. What about the stolen painting? Have you located it?
Yes, it's here.
Splendid. I'm most grateful, Mr. Holmes. It must have been a difficult task. Will you share your adventures with me?
I cannot, Mr. Vogel. The story is much like your undergallery. Not for everyone's eyes and ears.
So sometimes you do hide the truth. What has happened to your crusade?
I'm not on a crusade. I simply do not owe you the story.
It was not an attack, Mr. Holmes. If you've chosen to keep secrets, I'll respect it. Besides, the truth is often more boring than the mystery. No?
It is what it is, Mr. Vogel.
Well, now that we've resolved all of our outstanding matters, I have a gift for you. I took the liberty of having it delivered to Stonewood Manor. I am told it belonged to your mother.
Previously you mentioned there may have been more to my mother's passing than consumption. It appears you were right.
Oh dear, I'd hoped to be wrong.
She was unstable, mentally unwell. She required sustained specialized treatment, but her madness persisted.
I knew that Violet had disappeared from the public eye, but had no idea of her suffering. I cannot imagine what you're feeling.
I'm fine. And what exactly have you sent me?
Frankly, I'm not sure how to answer that. I trust you'll know.
Thank you, Mr. Vogel. I am curious to see what you have procured.
Beleza, galera. Então vou ficar com essa gameplay por aqui, pessoal. Um grande abraço, se cuidem e é nóis, valeu.